The end of the line. You've read the story of Jesse James, of how he lived and died. If you're still in need of something to read, here's the story of Bonnie and Clyde. Now, Bonnie and Clyde are the Barrow Gang. I'm sure you all have read. How they rob and steal, and those who squill are usually found dying or dead. There's lots of untruths to those write-ups. They're not so ruthless as that. Their nature is raw. They hate the law, the stool pigeons, spotters, and rats. They call them cold-blooded killers. They say they are heartless and mean. But I say with pride that I once knew Clyde when he was honest and upright and clean. But the laws fooled around, kept taking him down and locking him up in a cell, till he said to me, I'll never be free, so I'll meet a few of them in hell. The road was so dimly lighted, there were no highway signs to guide, but they made up their minds, if all roads were blind, they wouldn't give up till they died.
The road gets dimmer and dimmer. Sometimes you can hardly see. But it's a fight, man to man, and do all you can, for they know they can never be free.
From heartbreak, some people have suffered. From weariness, some people have died. But take all in all, our troubles are small till we get like Bonnie and Clyde. If a policeman is killed in Dallas and they have no clue or guide, if they can't find a fiend, they just wipe their slate clean and hang it on Bonnie and Clyde. There's 2 crimes committed in America, not accredited to the Barrow mob. They had no hand in the kidnap demand nor the Kansas City depot job. A newsboy once said to his buddy, I wish old Clyde would get jumped. If these awful hard times, we'd make a few dimes if 5 or 6 cops would get bumped.
These police haven't got the report yet. But Clyde called me up today. He said, don't start the fights. We aren't working nights. We're joining the NRA, see?
From Irving to West Dallas Viaduct is known as the Great Divide, where the women are kin and the men are men, and they won't stool on Bonnie and Clyde. If they try to act like citizens and rent them a nice little flat, about the 3rd night they're invited to fight by a sub-gun's rat-tat-tat. They don't think they're too smart or desperate. They know the law always wins. They've been shot at before, but they do not ignore that death is the wages of sins. Someday they'll go down together, and they'll bury them side by side. To a few it'll be grief, to the law a relief, but it's death for Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah, see?
It's evil! Don't touch it!
It's alive!
I was with you.
They're coming to get you. Power of Christ.
Excuse me?
Hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
And welcome back to yet another edition of Willow. Hello, Mr. Fancy Pants. I'm Zach, and joining me as always is Spar and Lindy. How's everybody doing?
Pretty good.
I'm good.
You know, we didn't plan it out this way, but this actually works out pretty well because this is like the story of their life is like a fucking movie, and like, you know, episode 1's like Act 1, episodes 2's like Act 2, and this is where all the good shit happens. When I say the good shit, I mean like all the like the conclusion, the climax.
Well, at this point, things were fairly rough when you're bathing in streams and sleeping in a car and eating out of sardine cans all the time. I mean, not the best.
Sounds like they're musicians to me, man.
Well, yeah. He could have been, probably should have been. If he would have been doing that instead of his life of crime, he probably wouldn't have been as famous.
Yeah.
And I have to go back and change something because I know me and Zach was arguing about it before we started, but every time, like,
we didn't argue about it.
No, we had a disagreement because you had heard something I didn't. It wasn't us arguing. It was we just read different things, and I got mine. Like my outline was from the serial killer series documentary online by PBS American Experience. So that's where I got my outline. Right. But then I went back and was reading stuff, and because they didn't put all the names in. They were kind of bare bones about it. So it's like this many cops were there, and this happened, and this happened. So I would go back and look to find the names. And then I would find, oh, no, they said, no, this wasn't. Okay. So then I heard, like in the wreck where Bonnie got the battery acid, I heard the car.
Yeah.
Instead of battery acid, had caught on fire. And then I had also heard that it was battery acid and it caught on fire, which is probably why she couldn't use her leg at all. But who fucking knows?
Most of this stuff is all people retelling the story that were there. And it's all from their perspective. So obviously they're going to make it sound however the hell they want it to. So if they hated Bonnie and Clyde, they're going to make them look like assholes. And if they loved them, they're going to make them look like angels.
Right? And that depends on which movie you watch too, because
yeah. I was going to say, I think I watched 3 or 4 docs. I read 2 different audiobooks, and both of them were
vastly different
versions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
we're just doing our best.
Yeah. We're doing our due diligence here, trying to get it right, but we'd have to ask Bonnie and Clyde.
Definitely. Well, and who knows if even then that would be the truth. They like to exaggerate just a lot of it.
Yeah.
Just a lot of it. I like that.
So we had left off on them holding off on buying Buck's headstone because they knew that Clyde wouldn't be far behind. So Bonnie and Clyde and WD do get away from this, and they make their way to a farm where these people give them some help. Once again, I didn't go back and look at the farmer's name, because if I got back and looked at that, I'd been like, well, no, because that all went differently than what I had just said that it went. And
well, I have it written down somewhere, but it doesn't fucking matter. The version that I...
Go ahead, Lindy.
The kid's name is Marvell, and the family's name was Fuller.
Okay.
Fuller, okay. And they ended up giving them, in quotations, I believe they took their car... Mm-hmm. And they had to fill it up with kerosene because it was about out of gas.
Yeah.
So they filled the car up with kerosene before they took off from their house, right? Is that correct? Is that the same information you got? Okay.
And
cool.
The little guy, Melville, he got to carry Bonnie from the fence line to the car. And he said that it was exciting because she was just in a thin nightgown and it was covered in blood.
Yes. And plus at this time, I mean, she wasn't even 5 foot tall in the first place. So I imagine at this time she might have been pushing 75 pounds from the malnourishment and stuff. Yeah. So it was probably a pretty easy carry for a farm boy. He was just it's like a pillow. But then I got to the part where, Blanche had got picked up. She's in the hospital. I got J. Edgar Hoover actually showed up in person to question her to find out.
That's what
But the only thing she gives up is that W.D. Jones is with him, which nobody even knows who the fuck that is.
Well, they didn't know who the third person had been with him forever. Yeah. And she finally, because I think everybody else that had been captured or questioned about it to that point, they'd given a false name.
Yeah. And then she gets... So even after giving up this information, she gets 10 years, which I thought at first, I was like, oh, that's kind of lenient. But then I also thought, she didn't want to be there. I mean, really, she was only there because Buck was there. And I don't know how much she participated in any crimes of any kind.
The only thing that Blanche ever did was they stated that she was basically the cook, the medic. That was really it. She didn't participate in any crimes. The only thing, she lied a little, because.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah, you have to. She didn't want to die, so.
So 10 years seems, I don't know, it seems a little steep, I guess. But they had to make examples of this because the papers were all blowing up with all this shit. So they, I feel like.
She did all right. She wrote a book later and made quite a bit of money on it, I believe.
Never got her eye back, but.
No. She definitely had poor eyesight for the rest of her life.
Yeah. So after this point, WD is done. After what he had, he was telling Buck.
Yeah.
He is actually done, but he does stick around to help Bonnie and Clyde because they are pretty fucked up again. So stick around to help them get back up on their feet, and then he's out. But it's 15 years late, or it's a few years later that he does finally get pinched, and he does 15 years. Mm-hmm. And for the way he's portrayed in some things, that's super harsh. And the way he's portrayed in other things, that's super lenient. So it just depends.
I'm going to go with the super lenient.
Probably.
I'm going to go with the lenient one too.
Because he super did lay down fire on some cops when they pulled up outside places.
Yeah.
And more than likely, at least 2 people he killed.
Yeah. At least, yeah.
Yeah.
So Bonnie and Clyde are more famous than ever. And so they get some people to join up. Henry Massingale and Doc Parter join the gang. and they go to Oklahoma to rob a bank.
Yep.
And then that's not a good idea because there was a prison break like right before they got there. And so cops are on super high alert. And so that went to shit. And to get away because they had pulled in, they was going to do something. He had to steal I heard 4 different cars to get away.
That's what I heard too.
And then
4 in a getaway, they ended up stealing 4 vehicles.
But I mean, Clyde could do that. He was pretty quick at it. And so Henry tries to get caught. Henry tries to run away, and they do get caught, or he does get caught, and he does 20 years. Doc got away, but didn't join again because they were just out. Right. They were like, no, we're done. We're going to just go about our separate ways.
They thought they were hooking up with some real gangsters, and turns out, nope, they're shit gangsters.
You're not hooking up with a Dillinger here. It's like, that guy could go to jail and smile, and they'd take pictures and be like, just let him go. God damn, he's handsome. Just let him go. So on, where did I leave? Okay, so November 22nd, 1933, Smith, once again, he gets a tip. That, what's the mom's name, Lindy?
Kumi.
Okay, Kumi's having a birthday party. And they feel like, I don't know who gave it. They said there was different things. And I think that it was probably Bonnie's sister or mother that gave him the tip, I think. Because I think they were thinking, you know what, Clyde's going down, and I don't want my sister or daughter to go down with him. But I don't know. I don't know exactly.
Right.
Do you guys have any hunches on?
I heard that this was actually Bonnie and Clyde that set this up, is what I heard.
Mm-hmm.
Like as far as the meeting.
I mean, the tip that was given to Smoot, though.
Well, at this point,
I heard it was.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. You go ahead, Lindy.
At this point, they had put wiretaps on Kumi's phone, and they had figured out that Red Beans was Bonnie and Clyde. We're making chili. We're going to use red beans. Do you guys want to come over?
Oh, okay. So they was using code, and it wasn't super. Evidently, it wasn't super tough.
Yeah.
Are we doing red beans this week? Oh, no, not this week. It won't be, I think. I haven't heard, but it'll be probably 2 or 3 weeks before we do red beans.
Yeah, basically. So red beans, I think at the time were kind of not super expensive, but they were a luxury that the Barrows couldn't afford. So whenever Kumi would call and talk to Emma, she'd be like, "That we can afford red beans this week." So
okay, so they knew somebody was coming by to maybe drop off a little cash for them. Maybe okay, so that wasn't exactly secretive. It wasn't super sneaky, but
yeah.
So
I believe what I heard as far as who tipped them off, it was actually Clyde's youngest sister's boyfriend.
Oh yeah,
that's what I heard.
Really?
I forgot about him.
Who tipped him off?
Are they gonna pay him or?
Yeah, I believe so. Like if they were captured, yes, because there was a huge reward. There was a huge reward on both of them.
Oh yeah.
So
okay, but then I had heard, so I had read some things other that like Clyde had like a sixth sense, but what I'm thinking is like they pull up and they notice there's
his sixth sense fucking sucked though. I mean,
yeah, it was awful.
He did go to prison. He ended up having to chop off 2 of his toes because he couldn't
tell if a bank had money or not. So
yeah.
I think somebody's out there waving like in the background, or there's just too many people standing too close to the road and be like, that's not where we meet, and just fucking floors it as Smoot comes out yelling at them to stop, and they're firing at him. And they both get shot through the leg, and I think it was with the same bullet, like it hit the door through one, through the other, probably out the other door. So they do go to a doc to get fixed up, and then Smoot.
It was Oklahoma. They found a crooked doctor in Oklahoma that tended to such people like them.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do what you got to do. But Smoot feels dumb. He's like, "Damn it! Again they get away. I thought I had this one nailed."
Like, I'll get you next time, Gadget.
Okay. So Clyde's like, "Okay, Bonnie can't walk. She got shot in the leg again, even though her one leg's already fucked up. And I don't know if that was the same leg that was fucked up or the other leg that got shot.
God, let's hope so.
But it doesn't matter because she had to be carried anyway. So, and he's taking a few shots. So, it's time for an Easton prison break. So he's got Clyde promised to get Raymond Hamilton out, and he's going to do it. So on January 34th, Ray's brother Floyd was to plant a couple pistols where the crew would be working. I think it was in the culvert kind of deal. So Ray and Joe Palmer would get the guns, and they'd meet Clyde in the car. And it actually did work, but this was one where Clyde was like, "No, I'm not. I'm sitting in the car. I will be sitting here. You meet me here, and we'll go."
Well, they got Raymond, that guy Methvin, and another guy out.
Yeah, a couple of them went. A couple more went with them. Was there 4 that came out?
I think there was 6 that came out in total, but 2 of them took off on foot, so only 4 of them got in the car.
Okay, because they did kill 2 guards while they were leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, they were followed by Hilton Bobby, J.B. French, Harry Methton, and that wasn't planned. So, yeah, okay, it was on my next page. Sorry.
They were all they were just bonus.
Yeah.
They were bonus.
They were just like,
for Clyde.
Fuck it. Everybody's running. Let's go. Yep. They got guns, and let's get the fuck out of here.
Not sure how much of a bonus Methvin was, but...
No, he didn't end up being very good at all, did he? See, pretty bad.
Not in the long run.
So because of the Easton prison break, Frank Hamer comes in, who is a tough-ass fucking cowboy cop, and I don't have a whole lot on him because we could probably do an episode on that motherfucker. Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, we could. He was like Chuck Norris before Chuck Norris was
bigger. He was bigger,
Texas
though.
Ranger.
So he had been a Texas Ranger since 1906.
4?
He was 6'4". He had killed 53 men in his career and had been wounded 17 times.
Wow. Yeah, I heard 13, but yeah, that sounds right.
It could have been 13. Hey, look up another one. It'll say 12, or another one will say 14.
Actually, I'm looking at another website right now, and it says 17 on this, and so that's what we'll go with.
Hey.
Okay, this one says 17 times in his career, including once in the head, but he managed to survive all these injuries.
I never heard the once in his head, but hey,
that's a tough
there could have been 4 in his head.
It says, this site also says that some claim it's shot fewer times, with some estimates as low as 6 or 7. I mean, only 6 or 7 times?
That's all? No wonder he kept coming.
What a pussy.
Once is bad enough.
And then I heard all this
17.
stuff. I heard all
this. So between 0 and 17.
Something like that, yeah.
So somewhere in between there. I mean, that's what we're working with. That's how many times he was shot. Oh, boy.
Now, when they hired him, who was it that hired him? It was
Maul Ferguson, wasn't it?
No, Maul Ferguson was the governor.
She was I think she was the district attorney.
I thought that's
maybe she was the governor.
She was the governor at this time because he had quit previously, and some people say it's because he didn't want to work for a woman.
No, it's because he wasn't getting paid well. That's not the case
because he...
That's what I...
Yeah, he wasn't getting paid well.
Well, and he disagreed with Ma Ferguson's political standpoint, so he went into reserve for the Texas Rangers, and he wouldn't come out until she was out of office, is what I read. But
he...
So he was brought in by what's his nuts Schmee, or what's his name? Schmidt.
Schmoot Schmidt. Nailed it. You're bringing back out that fucking cook, aren't you? That sounded exactly the same as what you said before.
I know, right? Anyway, he hired him, but it wasn't for a lot of pay. He just said you can keep. Yeah. It's like one of those you keep what you kill things. Yeah. From like what movie is that? Not Pitch Black, but the Riddick movies.
Never watched those.
You keep what you kill.
Spoils of war.
So, something like that.
Yeah, so they said they get anything.
He knew that if he got anything, he could sell it and make some money. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, I'm going to do this. And he goes out and he starts just by like living like they're living, camping, eating Vienna sausages out of a can.
Sardines too. And just you can't forget the sardines.
Starting to get in their pattern, trying to trace their pattern so he can. he can get like some sort of movement.
Even got a Ford V8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then these guys they're actually doing good now. Like for the first time, they are super fucked up, and they can't do. They actually, it's like Clyde's not jumping out and running in places to rob him anymore. He's just like sitting out in the car waiting for the two guys that are actually doing good shit to help him make some money.
He's actually this is he's doing what he should have been doing the whole time. That's just being the driver.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what he's good at.
The one time, but there wasn't a sign for the bridge being out, and there was a detour, and it was dark, and he was driving way too fast. I mean, sorry about your leg, Bonnie, but that comes with the territory, I suppose.
It might have been a pig in the road.
At least I didn't kill any pigs, Bonnie. I don't know why you're bitching so much about your damn leg.
Oh, shit.
So,
while all this is going on, the Dallas Police Department and the local sheriff's department, they're getting fucking irate about all this shit.
Yeah. They're getting made look like fools.
I don't know if you... Exactly. And I don't know if you know this or not, but at one point, they come and pick up Clyde's mom, Kumi, and they holler about 100 miles away, questioning her the whole time, and then they take her to a county jail, and they question her there and hold her overnight before they drive her back the next day, thinking that they can get some information. Totally illegal to do any of that. And why the hell would you think that his mom would give away anything?
She didn't know in the first place.
You know, that's
plus, she wouldn't have gave him up if she did know. And and what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I think the press was on him so hard, and people were on him so hard at this point. They were like, "We have got." That's why fake people get arrested for crimes, because the people are on you. They're like, "Well, got to be them." Close enough.
Yep.
Close the books.
Yep.
But so it was Henry's family in Louisiana where they're staying, right? Henry Methvin.
Methvin?
Methvin?
Is that right?
Methvin.
Methvin. Yeah, sounds like you got a mouthful of meth there, man.
Oh, I'd be way more awake if I had a mouth. No. Clyde and Henry became pretty good friends.
That's like 3 drug references in a row for you, by the way, episode by episode. Yeah.
For me.
Actually, Matt, we're not recording a podcast today. This is an intervention, buddy. We think you might have a problem.
I don't do Methvin. I don't even know what it is. Methvin. I don't know what it is.
No more somas, no more blow, no more prostitutes, and no more meth.
No more strippers, no more poles.
Okay, no, it's fine. So, Clyde and Henry become friends pretty quick, but Clyde and Raymond didn't get along so well. They weren't
Well, doesn't Raymond have a girlfriend?
Mary Adair?
Yes.
Yeah, they get along.
She was a real piece of work.
It's so great. She just bitches the whole time about why they're not going out dancing and going out to eat and going to bars.
Oh my God, do we have to eat beanies out of a kind of gun? Why can't we go to a frickin' restaurant and get some rough?
I'm glad you said that, because
I want to go dancing.
Because I haven't read these notes in a bit, but what I got wrote down, it's
never do anything.
She was a bit of a twat, is what I wrote.
What's that, Matt? I can't hear you. I have an ear infection.
I'm glad you took it over, because I had went through the notes today. I was like, I don't have anything for that. I was going to skip through this. And so as soon as you started saying that, I just got to the point where I wrote she was a bit of a twat.
Yeah, she was super high maintenance.
She was worse than Bonnie on how thinking it was going to be like the movies. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it did in one point, she tried to convince Bonnie to leave Clyde and join up with them.
Yes.
Ooh, she was ballsy as fuck then.
Yeah, she told after Bonnie and Clyde had gotten into like one of their famous
titter-tat-tats.
Didn't that happen constantly though?
Yeah. She was like, you don't deserve this. You deserve better. Clyde's an idiot. Raymond's the brains behind this. Rada, rada, rada. Like, leave. Come with us. You won't get caught. And Bonnie was like, go fuck yourself.
Ooh, yeah, that was pretty ballsy move.
Went and told Clyde. And
have you seen my leg? How fucked up it is? And I'm still hanging with this guy. Like, I'm going to let you talk me out of it.
That's it.
Have you seen my fucked up leg?
Pretty much stuck for life now. You're really going to carry me? I don't think so.
I didn't think. Yeah, probably not. Well, you can just be whining the whole time you carry me anyway, and I can't put up with it. It's just too much.
I'm the only one who gets to whine here.
So Ray knew what they were going to do. So, hang on just a second.
What do you want me to hang on to?
Never mind. No, we just went through that part. Sorry. No, I'm confused. You guys jumped ahead of what I had wrote, and so I have to go back. So Clyde and Ray part ways, and Hamer is on them. So
the only reason they part, but you know what the breaking point was, though, right? Why they've parted ways.
I assumed it was Bonnie saying this twat's wanting me to leave you, but I didn't know.
No, he caught Ray. Clyde caught Ray stealing more money,
right.
Because he wanted his woman to have a cut too, even though she didn't do anything but bitch about everything. He's like, well, she should get a cut, and Clyde's like, fuck no, I don't think so. So he sees Ray taking extra money out of the till, and he's like, you know what, fuck y'all, you're out.
And that's money he can take back home to his family, like they like to do, because it was always like whenever they went back home, they were like Robin Hood when they'd go back home to their, at least to their families.
But it was more for protection for. It's like, think about them. It's like paying these people like they're the family's like kind of the mob. He's paying them for their protection, so they don't give away where he is, and you know when he's going to be there.
I don't think they would have anyway. But
I'm just saying, and people in the neighborhood.
I think Emma would have, but I don't think that the Barrow family would have.
Right. So Louisiana, Beanville Parish. Henry's parents.
It's actually pronounced Benville.
Is it Benville?
It's Benville.
Well, things aren't like they're spelled, so...
Shut up, commie. Don't make me schlut my pants.
Okay. So,
all right, that was a stretch.
They're going to help out. You know, they'll give up Bonnie and Clyde if they'll pardon Henry.
Who will?
Henry's parents.
You mean the Methmans?
The Methvins.
The Methvins.
You see, you just wanted me to give us. You just wanted me to say it again. What a fucking dick. Methvins.
No,
you didn't say Methvins. I don't think you did. Say it again. Oh, now let's see. Now you thought about it. But when
Methvin,
okay,
Methvin,
you just tell the rest of the story. That's all. I'm just going to sit here and listen. I can't pronounce it.
This is going to be the longest silence in the podcast.
Okay, all right. 1934 Easter Sunday, heading to West Dallas. Evie Wheeler and 24-year-old H.D. Murphy pull up on motorcycles to stop the car. Okay, well, they get out of the car because there's cops. And Clyde says, let's take them. Apparently he meant, let's take them hostage.
Hostage.
But Henry is just like, see, there's my machine gun noise again.
Yes.
He just starts mowing. So the other cop, his shotgun isn't even loaded yet. So Clyde's just like, fuck him in it now. Blast him too.
Yeah.
It was the other cop's first day on the fucking job. And Clyde.
Yeah, he was supposed to be married in 2 weeks? From that?
And then Henry walked up and pumped a couple more shots into him afterwards. So as far as Old Man Schaefer's story, which I watched the video a few times of him telling the story and how far away he was, it's got to be balls on accurate, because as far away as he was, it's like, yeah, you could totally tell. He's saying that Bonnie and Clyde did it. And you got to...
You mean Bonnie, who couldn't walk on her own?
No, she walked all the way out
Walked
to
up
him.
and pumped
Some shots
the extra
into him.
shots into him.
She had to wear dresses at this point because she couldn't put a pair of pants over that god-awful leg of hers.
But she walked up and pumped some shots into him and laughed to Clyde about how their heads were bouncing off the road.
Man, this guy's got great eyesight and
well, it
great
didn't
hair.
have anything to do with, Henry being pardoned, because that was already in the works. And if that goes bad, shit looks bad everywhere. So, yeah.
Right.
Officer Murray was just 2 weeks away from a wedding. His wife showed up at his funeral in her wedding dress.
Yeah. Because she probably couldn't afford to buy another dress. It's Depression era.
No, I think it was on purpose.
And this might not have been a wide hang type dress. You know what I mean? It might just have been a new dress.
Some Billy Idol. Let's do it. But no, apparently there was another family that was down the street that was way closer that said they seen a tall man and a shorter man get out and do the killings and then go away. But old man Schaefer, apparently he heard the shots, told him, they were like, hey, this is the guy we need because he's far enough away. We'll run the camera and we'll catch his story. And he told him what he's seen and who knows what they paid him. Yeah. But we got to get out of the way of this because this could like buckle everything because they're like, no, this guy killed him, but they offered him a pardon. And so, oh shit, no, Bonnie and Clyde aren't the top story. This guy is, and you did a bad deal. So,
right.
Hammer puts a posse together. Oh, no, sorry.
You're getting ahead of yourself.
They're driving away and get stuck in the mud. All sorts of people. I didn't go back and get the names because every time I go back to get names, find a different story. It's just like, okay, this person did the. It's like I'm driving through a drive-through and want to fuck with them. I'll take a what? And what? Okay.
You want Bill's sperm with that?
No.
That's an inside joke if you know Wiener Schnitzel.
They get stuck in the mud. They end up taking one of the cops hostage. Boyd was his name. And he was riding with him. He ended up saying that they weren't that bad. He didn't think they were hardcore killers. And he asked before they let him go if Bonnie had anything she wanted to say to the papers. And what did she say, Lindy? What was her number one thing that she wanted to tell the papers?
Though she didn't smoke cigars.
Yep. Hey, I might be running with a ruthless killer and we steal shit all the time, but I do not smoke cigars. You were not supposed to see those photos. Those were taken in jest, and they were just for us.
I am a lady.
Yes. And then
with my one really fucked up leg.
and then I think Zach, whenever you were talking about that one with her cigar, with the cigar in her mouth, you said she had a pistol, and I said she had two in her waistband. I was like, now the one with the cigar, she only had one pistol. The one with the two in her waistband, she was on the back of the car, like hanging onto the bumper, like squatted down because there was like so many.
Gotcha.
I think she has a cigar in her mouth when she's got the shotgun pointed at Clyde's chest too.
And then she's like reaching for his pistol that's in his waistband. It's like she's like, hold.
Yeah, she's just got the cigar hanging in her mouth. But you can tell from it. It's not lit. It's not. There's no ash. If you look at it close enough, you can actually see that like the end isn't even cut. Like
it's probably slobber filled, but
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Hamer puts a posse together, but he doesn't want to kill a woman. Like that's his one thing that's holding him back. Like he does it. He's a fucking gentleman, apparently.
Yeah.
So they're getting the ambush set up. So Henry, how's it pronounced, Zach?
Henry Hamer?
No.
Methvin.
There you go. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
His parents needed him to be away. So he was not with them when this happened, but they're supposed to go meet up at his dad's house. Like, this is where Bonnie and Clyde are supposed to go, and they're supposed to meet up on May 23rd. So this posse forms and on May 19th, and they wait for 3 days. So the posse is Hammer, Gould, Inston...
Gould?
Gould?
Mm-hmm.
Zach.
That's what I said.
Alcorn, Jordan, and Oakley. But I didn't say where they were all from. So, Zach, if you want to break that down, this 6-man posse.
I'm a looking here.
Well, one of them is Ted Hinton from...
Yes.
He was Bonnie's friend in Texas when she worked at the...
He was the one that could recognize
when she was a waitress.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And while Zach's looking this up, there's a couple things that happened before this.
Okay.
So, like Raymond Hamilton got repinched and was bragging to everyone that Clyde was going to break him out And Clyde wrote to him and said, nah, no, I'm not. You didn't even fucking attempt to fight the law, to anything. So
eat a bag of dicks.
Like, yep, fuck yourself. Then Clyde writes to...
Oh, we won't have to in prison. He'll have plenty of people do that for him.
Clyde actually writes a letter to Henry Ford, like telling him, well, I have the letter if you want to hear the letter.
Yes, please. How much he loves their cars.
Yeah.
Yes, it's great. Yes, please do.
Yeah.
So he says, Dear Sir, while I still have got breath in my lungs, I will tell you what a dandy car you make. I have drove Fords exclusively when I could get away with one. For sustained speed and freedom from trouble, the Ford has got that's really what he says, ever other car skinned. And even if my business hasn't been strictly legal, it don't hurt anything to tell you what a fine car you got in the V8. Yours truly, Clyde Champion Barrow.
And I heard he told that to Bonnie while he was driving, and she wrote it for him.
She wrote it. Well, yeah. Henry Ford actually wrote back to him.
I would have plastered that all over the greatest cars ever.
He never got it because they had delivered it to where they had been, I think in Louisiana, and by the time that the letter had got there, they had already fled from Louisiana. So Clyde actually never knew about the return letter. I think it was given to Kumi. And so she had it.
They did something in one of the movies that I had watched too, because I had watched a few on the docs and stuff like that, where they were like doing kind of like, you know, this didn't actually happen, but this is what we're going to show. And then Bonnie was like, do you want to say about how they're so bulletproof? And he's like, fuck no, then the cops will have them.
Oh, shit.
So,
and I also wanted to mention before this as well, we forgot to mention the final meeting that they had with their family in Dallas. And at the time, Bonnie had a rabbit with them, and she gave the rabbit to her mom, and she says, keep him away from the cops. He's been at least 3 gunfights, and he could be, you know, sent to prison.
Okay, I'm sorry. That bothers me a little bit. I didn't know about that detail, because if you're eating sardines out of a can and you have a fucking rabbit.
It was supposed to be her mom's Easter present.
Yeah. And an Easter dinner.
And I can't remember what they named the rabbit, but it was...
Oh, don't tell Beth I said that, Zach.
Oh, I won't have to.
Yeah.
She'll just listen. And she'll know.
And we're not cutting that out.
Yeah. So, and also, this is when Bonnie tells her mom, you know, after she's dead, because they both know at this point it's a matter of time. They both have come to terms with it. She just wants to spend one last night in her house. Mm-hmm. Just like, when I'm dead, just put me in my bed. Just let me stay there one night before you bury me.
Okay.
So
they set up the ambush, wait for 3 days along this road, and then Ivy, Methvin, nailed it.
Methvin, good.
They said they had him pull off to the side of the road and take a wheel off to be like he was in trouble and needed help. Now, I had heard he was handcuffed to a tree, and then I had heard he was out there to try to stop him.
That was the whole point. He was there to be a distraction, so they'd slow down and stop, possibly help.
Okay, so the handcuff to a tree was probably bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
That's all bullshit.
Yeah. Maybe they handcuffed him to a tree so he couldn't run away to tell anybody, because they were out there for 3 days. So maybe it was on the 3rd day they let him go.
No. And the 3rd day he rose from the dead. What? There. I don't. Okay. No. I guess the whole time they're doing this, these 6 guys, I think there's like 15 or 20 people that stop and try to offer to help fix the car.
See, that's
and
good neighborly shit right there.
No, I got it. Go, you know.
Yeah, because this is the only road to that specific area. So,
right.
You know, they were there at the time of the day. So they weren't actually, or what I read was that they weren't actually there for 3 days. They had planned this for 3 days, and Methvin is the one that hooked it up. Apparently,
on the day they were supposed to arrive, because they were supposed to arrive on May 23rd, but I heard they got there at May 19th.
Well,
Yeah. So he tells Bonnie and Clyde that his son isn't there. He went to go visit a cousin,
mm-hmm.
and they need to pick him up the next morning. And that's when they decided
because
to do
they had
this,
gone
these
into
six guys.
town and they were going in to get like sandwiches and stuff because Bonnie and Clyde were not staying with the Methvins. They wouldn't tell them where they were staying. So they were just staying out in Haven somewhere.
They were just supposed to come by for a meetup, like to meet with Henry.
Like
Pick him up.
one last
Pick him up.
goodbye, to the family and that kind of stuff before they left. But Henry was able to get away because he saw this officer chasing Clyde, not chasing Clyde necessarily, but like driving around, and Clyde took off. So Henry he dipped. He was like, okay, this is my chance, like deuces.
Yeah.
So Bonnie and Clyde kept going back to the clearing, kept going to try and figure out where Henry had gone. And so they kept saying, like, okay, this time, this day, this time, this day, this time, this day. And something kept going on with the posse to where they couldn't be there. So they kept having to push it back. And
That's when
they got there super early in the morning.
Methvin got a hold of Hamer
because it was 9:15 when the shots
they organized.
started.
Yeah, they had gotten there at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, like when it was still dark, so they could stake out their spot. People weren't coming back and forth, because still today, but more so back then, people were getting up and going in at like 5 o'clock in the morning,
right,
to do what they needed to do. So
these 6 guys, we had Hamer and Galt. Those guys were both Texas Rangers. Currently, at that time though, they were working for the Texas Department of Corrections.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had Hinton and Alcorn. Those guys worked for the Dallas Sheriff's Office. And then Jordan and Oakley, that was the sheriff and the deputy sheriff of Bentonville Parish there in Louisiana, where they're at.
Yep. And then they hear the V8 roaring up the road. And so who was the Hinton? Was it Hinton that knew who Bonnie was?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they were just wanting a positive identification before they started firing. So at 9:15, when the car pulls up and slows down to check to see if Ivy needs some help, they know, yep, it's him. They were going to stand up and try to stop him, but one of the cops just fired. He got a little nervous. He got a little itchy.
I think it was Alcorn that fired the first shot.
Hair trigger fired right through Clyde's head. So his foot slips off the clutch. They think he's running because he's ran so many times, and they just unload. And I heard 130 to 150 shots fired. But then I heard they were hit 50 times a piece. So, and then I watched that video, and I wish I wouldn't have. Like the video of the car afterwards where Bonnie's slumped over. She's leaning on Clyde's shoulder, and it's just like, I mean, I guess that's the outcome you was wanting, and you got it. But they said the scream that Bonnie let out like haunted them. Like when the first shot hit and it killed Clyde, she just started screaming, and it was just like after that, it was. I'm not even going to do the noise now because it sounds.
They said that they never forgot that. Now in my notes, Matt, I've got it as Oakley is the one that stood up and opened.
He was
fire.
the first guy that took a shot. Okay.
Yeah. And then the others followed suit immediately after.
And I bet if you search 6 other places, it'll say every single one of the other ones was the one that opened fire first.
Yeah. Well,
and then I heard Hamer actually came out, opened the door, and pumped a couple shots into him, even though they look like fucking Swiss cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Just to make sure, yeah.
Well, you didn't need to make sure. I mean, it was pretty much.
Oh yeah, it was very obvious that
they had heavy firepower at this time. These guys had. They had the same guns, and then one that was even bigger than I forget what it was called, but yeah. So at a Dallas funeral home on May 1934, Clyde and Bonnie were laid to rest, and they were 3 miles away from each other. But there was tens of I read so many different things. There was tens of thousands in attendance, and then there was even more at Bonnie's. So if you've got,
we missed some stuff. We missed some stuff here before we get to that part.
Oh, you want to go through going through the car and people trying to steal stuff? Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. They actually did. Well, some people did.
Oh yeah.
It was a Colt Monitor machine rifle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. And they had bars too.
This was a freaking
And Tommy
circus,
guns.
dude. I mean, it was, yeah. So first off, people start showing up just to get some souvenirs.
Mm-hmm. Try to
Like at the kill
Like
site.
somebody,
yeah, try to cut
Yeah,
off
like
Clyde's
trying to,
trigger finger. Was it
no. Trigger's figure. Somebody tried to cut off his ear.
Mm-hmm.
for a necklace?
Okay, before
I don't remember
before
what
the
movie.
coroner even got there. Okay, and everyone in the area started collecting shell casings, pieces of the glass from the car
I
windows.
heard they were digging out bullets
Like
from
tearing up-
trees and stuff like that. Even afterwards,
Yeah,
like after
they
they
were.
drug everything off, they
Pieces-
were just anything they
Yeah,
could get
people
to
were just
sell.
hoping to
Clothing.
see anything.
Yeah.
like just pulling pieces of clothing
Cut-
off of Bonnie
Cut
and
Bonnie's
Clyde.
hair. I think somebody got away
Mm-hmm.
with that actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did. Parts of her dress, her hair.
So then they haul this car up and start to haul it
Okay,
away.
look, you want to talk about some morbid
And
shit? That is like, fuck,
They've got the body still in the car,
In
by
the
the
car,
way.
just covered with a sheet.
yeah.
And the
They're-
tow truck breaks
and then-
down
It's like the
It
opposite of Night of the
conveniently
Living
breaks
Dead.
down right in front of an elementary
in
school.
front of an elementary school. Yeah. How,
It's the opposite of Night of the Living Dead. Live people are attacking dead people to get things. Brains,
Yeah,
fingers, hair.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
one
And
kid
it's
decides.
one kid gets super curious and he just decides he's going to pull the
She-
sheet off. And he does.
And yeah, they can't get the bodies covered fast enough again. So all of these kids see these two bodies just as they fell.
And you have to wonder if, like, maybe the sheriff did that on purpose. Be like, all right, you little shit.
No, here's a you know
Don't you
that's
get any
it's
fucking
like,
ideas.
We can't do public hangings anymore, so here you go. This is what happens when you fuck up. So I mean, I imagine that was probably planned. But
And this is when
that
the
poor fucking kid.
little-
I'm sure there was no
Yeah.
psychiatric treatment back then for what you're dealing with.
Oh no.
So-
So when Bonnie and Clyde were staying in Haven, there was a boy and his dad who were out hunting, and like when they were just camping, and he had come upon their spot and they were cleaning the guns, and Bonnie had a conversation with him about, have you ever met any bank robbers? And like, you know, now you have, this is who we are, blah, 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 blah. She went through their story, and this is when that little boy came out and said, I met Bonnie. She was really nice. She was a real pretty lady. This is what she said to me. She gave him something. I can't remember. Maybe it was a shotgun shell or something. She physically gave him
A
something
bullet casing
to
of
like,
some
here
kind,
you go.
probably,
You
yeah.
know, like you can remember
Yeah.
us by, you know, because
well, they had revolvers,
that they-
so they would have had empty. Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Probably.
So-
and
so
she
this
was,
little
it's
boy
almost like
had-
she was asking for it. It was like, let everybody you know I can't walk and I don't fucking care anymore. We're going to go down together anyway. So
Yeah, pretty much.
So, Matt, once again, we're going to go back to this weird thing that we did in Wisconsin. Okay. So they get this Ford taken to bed. The dead bodies are still inside. They take it to the Conger Furniture Store and Funeral Parlor in
There we go.
downtown Arcadia, Louisiana. Does that
yeah,
sound
it
familiar?
does. The Ed Gein episode. You damn right.
With Ed Gein, yeah.
It was funeral parlor and furniture store.
Well, wasn't
Yeah.
that the guy that she had joked with about being the official funeral director? Didn't
Darby.
he actually
Darby.
end up being their their mortician?
He was really close in this place called, is it Ruston?
Mhm.
And they both came to Arcadia. They identified the bodies because they kidnapped him.
So they knew, yeah.
And and he did assist the undertaker there. His name was Bailey with the
I
embalming.
bet he felt obligated.
So he did. Probably. Yeah. And I guess the whole time this is going on, that they're trying to do this shit, the population of this little town apparently went from 2,000 to 12,000 within like 4 to 6 hours
Oh, I bet.
because people like heard about it and they just started heading that way.
Mhm.
Horseback, buggy, train, plane. In my notes, it says beer normally sold for 15 cents a bottle, but it jumped to 25 cents.
Sons of
Sandwiches
bitches.
sold out. Henry Barrow came to identify his son's body, and then he sat weeping in a rocking chair in the furniture section of this lovely furniture store / funeral parlor. And the whole time, I guess the Undertaker is sitting there yelling at people to quit fucking screwing shit up because they're fucking up the furniture
Or he's
in the
going to
store.
choke slam
He's
you through
spraying
the
people
fucking
with
floor.
No, he's spraying people with fucking embalming fluid to fucking keep them away. And he finally ends up charging admission. If you want to come in and see the bodies, okay, but you're going to charge me. You're going to pay me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you the last ride.
So,
Sons of...
Oh, my God.
It just depends on which era of the Undertaker
Jesus.
you want to talk about. We can get into that. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, it was a fucking shit
Bonnie's
show.
mom would not allow them to be buried together, even though that is what Bonnie wanted.
That's what they wanted.
Clyde's family attended Bonnie's funeral, but it didn't happen the other way around. They did not attend his. And
Right. Her mom, Bonnie's mom, said, "You know what? Clyde had her in life. I have her. She's mine in death. He can't."
and their headstones were set up, but later were stolen a few times, so they had to lay the headstones down flat and plant them in concrete so nobody would steal them, but people still come by, chip parts off to try to take it home with them. And I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
Bonnie's headstone was huge. It had to be because of the engraving that Emma had put on hers.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, her
If you've got, do
inscription
you
is
have it?
crazy.
Because I didn't write it. I didn't write it down. If you've got it,
Yeah, the inscription was, "As the flowers are all made sweeter by the sunshine and the dew, so this old world is made brighter by the lives of folks like you."
no. But it doesn't matter. People still try to steal that shit, so they had to.
Yeah.
So, and they were just,
And then-
once again, you go back to it, and they were just kids. Zach, do you remember the shit we used to do at 22? And I think we were.
Let's not talk about that.
But I mean,
right now.
what
Yeah,
we did was nothing. I couldn't hold a candle to this shit. But think you were so
I know.
impoverished, and then you get on the road, and people start talking about how great you are, and you don't have to worry about the cops because your car is faster. You can just basically do whatever you want until you finally get caught. You just roll like hell.
Yeah.
So there's different movies out there that you can watch. There was the Bonnie and Clyde movie that, I hated it. The Highwaymen I enjoyed, although they painted Bonnie and Clyde like they didn't
much darker.
and they showed Bonnie do the killing at the end too. Which she
all of the Bonnie and Clyde movies. So there's like a TV series, and then there's 2 movies. The older one with Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway.
Faye Dunaway.
What's her name?
Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway. They had to promise not to fuck each other on set, is what I heard.
Well, Warren Beatty actually had to go to Blanche to get the rights for this. She signed off on it, and then he changed the whole movie.
Yeah, it was
after she signed off on it.
Like,
so
didn't they
that
say he was gay or bisexual?
They said that he was. No, they said that he was impotent.
Oh, that's
it was a fancy
okay.
lad.
So he was impotent because some of the stories in the paper said that. Well, I watched Bonnie and Clyde, the true story, or tried to. Bonnie and Clyde, the true story TV movie, but it had Dana Ashbrook, who played Bobby Briggs on Twin Peaks. So I was like, I will give this a go. And it didn't last very long. I love Twin Peaks, but I couldn't take that shit because it was just like, no, they blamed WD for everything. And they were just like, Bonnie and Clyde were so great. And I was just like,
The new, well, it's not new, but it's newer. The newer Bonnie and Clyde is a little more on the mark, but it kind of paints her.
Where can you watch that?
The very first time I saw it, it was on Netflix. I don't know. I own it. I bought it for this, literally, but it's a little more to the mark. But I mean, it
wasn't the Highwaymen. It was actually called Bonnie and Clyde, though.
Bonnie and Clyde, yeah. Okay. It's and it's got, it's got more details of the shootout. It's got more details of like Buck and Blanche, but it pretty much paints Bonnie as the criminal mastermind.
She's a woman. So yeah.
Yeah, and like how the pictures and stuff got out were
planned. Did she plan it?
Yeah.
Is that what they put?
Yeah. She sent it into the reporter person that got it.
Well, it's documented that she was actually pissed that they showed her smoking a cigar, so I don't believe that part.
Yeah, exactly. This one was the newer one was from 2013, and it's Emily Hirsch and Holiday Granger.
I don't know who either of those people are.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Emma is played by Emma is played by Elastomom, the Elastigirl from like The Incredibles. That's who the mom is. So there's a couple of people in it. Like it shows more of the family involvement, that kind of stuff. But
that makes more sense because that is, I mean, for the most part, they were dedicated to that. Like they would leave, but they would always come back home because they miss their families. And then even later, whenever Clyde had people in the gang, he wouldn't keep them from seeing their families either. So he was always like family strong. But if you grow up that way, that's what you are. You are family strong because we all had to be together to make it through this shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, Kumi kept true to her word. And when Clyde passed away and they bought the gravestone,
it had both
his
their names.
said gone, but not forgotten.
Yeah.
That's what he asked her to put on their tombstones. So she did.
Certainly never be forgotten. This will be talked about forever.
Oh, yeah.
Forever, man. They are gangsters.
Once again, they weren't as good as Dillinger. They weren't as good as any of them that were out at that time, but it's just...
By the way, apparently all these guys like Dillinger and all these other mobsters, Pretty Boy Floyd, apparently they sent flowers. Yeah, they all sent flowers to Bonnie's
funeral
gravesite.
But Pretty Boy Floyd actually hated Bonnie and Clyde.
Yes. Yeah, he said he said they put the public in too much danger when they did their jobs. Like they weren't professional. They didn't do the planning and put the time in like he did. Mm-hmm. That's why he was great and they sucked at it. It's just they're more famous.
I got a couple little interesting facts here before we wrap this up. Okay, so the American National Insurance Company of Galveston, Texas, they paid the life insurance policies in full on Clyde and on Bonnie.
Wow.
But they don't do that shit anymore. Like since then, payouts on policies changed to exclude people in death caused by any criminal act.
Mm-hmm.
And the 6 guys that finally killed them, each received 1/6 share of the reward money. And Dallas Sheriff Schmid had promised the Ranger Hinton that this would be a total sum of like $26,000. But the most that they think they got, all lawman got like $200.23.
Yeah, and I think Hamer
got like some memorabilia.
Didn't Hamer take their guns and a fucking tackle box or something, but then ended up sending the tackle box back?
He wouldn't. He wouldn't send anything back to the family.
Back. He kept everything, then he kept the guns and the tackle box. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
He told Kumi when she contacted him that
he was promised it.
Basically, you shouldn't have raised a criminal, and I'm going to fucking sell this for whatever I can get from it. So I'm not sorry and tough shit.
It was what he was told he could get, and he was doing his job. Mm-hmm. I mean, hard ass motherfucker, but if it wasn't for him, who knows how much longer they'd have went.
All this shit, basically, like Bonnie and Clyde dying and all this shit that went down. This is what pretty much made the FBI say, "All right, motherfuckers, this is not the Wild West out here." And then I think it was by the next summer.
2 years later, I think all those big criminals were dead. Yeah. Like they had taken down Dillinger and Babyface Nelson, Pretty Boy Floyd.
Yeah. Yep.
Scarface was dead. He was already in prison and died of syphilis.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So there was also the car had ended up getting sold, and I want to say circus, but that's like a sideshow.
It's fairground stuff. Yeah. This is all. It's all comes
and
back
actually
to
the car was returned to the original owner.
The way it was found,
and then he sold it for a shitload more than it was probably worth.
The guy that bought it made a shitload more than what he paid for it, because that's where the guy that bought Ed Gein's killer car, he got it from that guy that had bought Bonnie and Clyde's car. Everything comes back around to Ed Gein. For a while, I think that Clyde's parents actually toured with this guy. Yeah, which is fucked up. Gross,
talking about,
hey honey, what do you want to do next weekend? Well, I think we got that thing. We got to go hang out in the car where our boy got.
Then again, once again,
turn the hamburger.
Both of your kids are dead, and you're off broke. So
Yeah.
go live a little.
You got to do what you got to do.
You put up with that shit for so long, and how many times you get drug off to jail, people question you or get roughed up by the cops, because who knows how much of these stories are completely accurate about how they treated you. You would have to think like,
well, and
in this case, because these guys were never brought to court on any of these crimes because they died before any of that, we never get any of their actual accounts.
Right,
We're getting this shit, from people who interacted with them, and everybody's story
could be on purpose as well.
And then the family members who assisted at any point Bonnie and Clyde were also taken to jail for days. I think Kumi spent like 5 days in jail, but her health was failing so bad that they just ultimately let her go. The little sister was picked up. The little sister's husband, who was the boy who gave the tip about Kumi's birthday.
Oh, so you do
meet up.
You do seriously? Okay. See, I thought it was her younger sister too. So yeah, it probably was those two colluding. He was probably like, we can get some money, and she was like, yeah, we can save my sister.
No, it wasn't. Yeah. It was Clyde's sister.
Oh, okay.
Clyde's little sister.
I was thinking. I was thinking it was Bonnie's mom, but
yeah. So the kid that tipped him off and Clyde's little sister ended up getting married for a short amount of time. And they both ended up spending a couple of days in jail from it. But then when Blanche got out of prison, whatever, one of Clyde's sisters, the youngest sister, Blanche, and then one of Clyde's other sisters, I think it was Artie, is that her name?
I don't have
they ended up becoming really good friends. So they kept this little pack together, the three girlfriends, and they would hang out and drink wine, and they sat down and told stories of this time and all that kind of stuff.
So the kids out of the room when they're talking about Clyde and Bonnie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and Blanche did eventually remarry and that kind of stuff. So.
And there's that picture of Blanche too. We brought it up, I think, on that last episode when we talked about it. But that was like one of the most famous pictures when they're pulling up the camera and she thinks it's a gun. It's
have it.
Fucking,
yeah.
But how dumb was I thinking that Zach? Oh no, yeah, we'll do Bonnie and Clyde. Get through this in about an hour and a half. And that worked out, didn't it?
Well,
sure did.
There's so much information on it though, like. Literally, there's a ton that we didn't even cover.
You can't get into all of it because there's no possible way that it could all be them. It's just like Clyde's mom even said, if he's accused of everything that if he's to blame for everything he's accused of, he'd have to be in 3 different places at once. Mm-hmm. And that V8 ain't that fast. So to go through all of it, it's just like, man, you basically what I went through was that documentary was like it was said like factually he was here. Now what happened? Kind of hearsay, but factually he was actually there at least. So
right.
It's like good.
About the only thing that we can say for sure is that Bonnie and Clyde stuck it out together until the end of their lives, and they did what they said. Brutally. They were never recaptured, and they stuck it to the law because Clyde was just fucking sick of it.
Yeah. So we had talked about it earlier, and Lindy's going to go into the chorus of This Endless Love to close this show out, and I'm ready for it right now.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
what
we didn't talk about that earlier. It's actually a song.
I'm assuming it's a song.
Yeah, it is. It's really a song.
Okay, well,
endless love.
Thanks, Chance.
I can't even do it.
I was gonna say, well, you both seem to know it, so let's hear it.
Well, me and Zach dance in the dark to it. I mean, Friends.
There you go.
What is it? What is it? Happy Man or was it Happy Gilmore? What Friends? Listen, Endless Love in the dark.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Let's wrap this shit up. All right, guys. Thanks again for hanging out. If you would like to help us out, please continue to like, rate, and review the podcast. Matt is tired of people not reviewing the podcast. He says, God damn it, what people
If you have to, just as your comment, just make the bar noise. You know, just whatever, and then 5 stars.
That could be confused. That could be confused with a fart noise
Whatever noise. I don't even care what letters are up there. Just 5 stars and some letters, so that counts. Don't give a shit.
Right. And that's it. Let's wrap this up. We will see you guys next week. Until then, I am Zach.
Lindy.
Adios.
Later.
Bye.
It's evil! Don't touch it!
I was with you.
They're coming to get you. God of Christ. This is
Hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
I just wanted to boo-hoo. I was so sad. I was so blue. I just wanted to boo-hoo.
Here we go. That's it.
Sorry.
Jeebus Christophers. Don't coo me in your pants, Matt.
Okay, I about spit out beer. Can't do that. No. Damn it, Peggy.
Lindy, stop laughing. I'm going to slit myself.
All right.
So I still messed up the beginning. Can I redo it?
No.
Only if you do it in the Swedish chef's voice.
I can't
Can
do
we
the
please do
Swedish
that,
chef's
Lindy?
voice.
If you love us, you'll do
You can do
it.
it in the Swedish chef's voice.
No.
You have everything I sent you.
No, I think that's the greatest fucking idea I've ever heard in my life.
What are we talking about?